Let's take a pause. Current estimates suggest there are around 7.5 billion people on the planet. And every one of us shares a common experience. The common experience we share is the knowledge I am. Without fuss or fanfare, each of us can, here, without path, without procession, without practice, say, I am. We do not simply know I am. The knowing, experiencing of I am is the only experience we know. Regardless of situations, circumstances, narratives, thoughts, feelings, sensations, background, upbringing, intellect, each person knows and is knowing I am. This I am is part of the essential nature of being. It is ever present. We can all acknowledge that when we wake up in the morning, frequently, yet not exclusively, we might have two specific thoughts. One may be to acknowledge we've awoken by saying silently to ourselves, I am awake. Or we might say, the I am is awake. If we take the sense of being a separate individual person out of this amness. As a concession, we might say here, the I am is awake. This thought, this acknowledgement may be accompanied by the acknowledgement, if it's true for us, I am no longer dreaming, or, oh, it was a dream. So we move from the dreaming state in which we are dreaming, and we are the knower of a dream. Dreams present as a movie on a screen, and we are the screen the knowing quality of the dream presents, we might say, as a screen. And we watch characters, diverse places, times, faces, move about a story, and we know feelings and sensations and thoughts about the dream. We would call this the dream state. Upon awakening and the acknowledgement, I am awake, or the I am is awake, the dream state disappears immediately. We reject it or we negate it as no longer happening. It is no longer our current experience. Our current and direct experience is the I am awake, or the I am is awake. Most of us will know the experience well of the mental chatter of waking in the morning. And perhaps for many of us there's a disconnection between the mental dialogue of waking up and being bodily and psychically and soulfully in connection with the mental chatter. Maybe we might say, I am drowsy. We might say, I need to visit my toilet, my facilities. Maybe I am thirsty, I am hungry. I need to prepare for the day. And so very quickly, the I am that wakes up begins to add interchangeable activities and objects which all involve action or doing to the I am. So as a person, we wake up and we begin to explore, I am bathing, I am eating, I am drinking, I am leaving for work, I am going out, I am travelling, driving, arriving, greeting, meeting, and so on. So this ever-present knowing of I am begins to define itself as a distinct personality doing lots of things. We become the doer of works, actions, activities, behaviours, and the doer, we might say internally or in the mind, of certain attitudes, nuances and preferences for the way in which our interactions with people, places and tasks goes. So we might have a preference, we might think, I'm happy that this meeting went this way. I am unhappy, I'm still waiting for a bus. So we begin to add interchangeable emotions to the I am. Or I am hungry, so we make brunch or have lunch or just carry on working through the appetite. But still, as apparent time and the apparent spaces in which the framework of our life moves around, our homes, our towns, our cities, our country, our days, our moments, our minutes, our hours. There's a constant stream of interchangeable activities, attitudes, behaviours, preferences, some of which we really enjoy, and some of which bring about suffering. And the consistent and common experience for all of us, which does not change, which is unaffected by the changing things is the knowing, experiencing of I am. Now if we set aside all of this, look to see and acknowledge the knowing of I am, or we might say to help, I am listening to this voice. That's saying I am a lot. If we set aside language, if we set aside feelings, if we set aside all interchangeable things, notice luminous, known experience that the words I am point to. And the knowing of I am is the knowing of one's self. This is to become self-aware. Not self-aware as in having lots of insight and understanding through works and deeds about who we are as a distinct personality. This luminous, present beingness, isness of this common experience we share of the knowing of I am, that is unchanging. Notice there is no center to this self-aware, luminous being. And there is no circumference, there's no outside. Go to the limits, the very limits of this amness, this isness. Notice how little, in fact, subtle, the movement is to acknowledge that there isn't a circumference or a center. What is known, the qualities of I am, are there is a sense of, and see if this is true for yourself, don't take my word for it, there's a sense of, there's an experiencing happening, something mysterious is experiencing. There's a knowing of the experience of something that remains a mystery. There's no objective quality to being, so we can't say absolutely. We might describe this experience of knowing, experiencing amness as weird or strange or unfamiliar or uncharacteristic. This witnessing light, luminous being that we are, is prior to each thought, each feeling. So as we are collected, exploring the nature of our known amness, we may be in an unfamiliar experience. There may be a sense of an apparent thinker that wants to fill the space with thoughts and feelings about the experience. Perhaps there's a real vigorous sense of tension that the thinker, the thinking mind, the monkey mind, wants to think into the beingness, wants to fill the seeming stillness with movement. This usually happens in meditation techniques where we first try them and within 6 seconds are despondent that we haven't transcended the body-mind and become like the Dalai Lama in mastering the technique. But of course those are thoughts and concepts and feelings had by the usual thinking mind that senses stillness, peace and beingness as its death, as its end. Anything we attach to I am is an act of doing. At first it is the thought, I am thinking. So thinking is an action, isn't it? It's a movement of I am. I am is I am. In religious language, there's the story of Moses and the burning bush. And he is reported to have said to God, "Who are you?" Not understanding, not comprehending the mystery. And that specific text describes the response as God, as he experienced God, saying, I am that I am. I am that I am. I am the great I am. In this approach we might say absolute amness, or the great reality. And usually there's 7.5 billion people on this planet define their reality by a contracted, intimate, gross world, a gross reality. The things we do, the people we meet, the roles we assign ourselves, a evaluation of the performance of all of these things and whether they are going well or going poorly, and we might say I am struggling or I'm doing great. And every activity of this apparent, separate, little personality, this separate sense of self, the ego self, seeks through every last task for every person the happiness and peace. Every activity and undertaking and every intention hopes to find. Yet in this approach we are turning the mind round. We are going the other way by asking ourselves, seeing for ourselves if it is true for us that before thought, prior to thought, or that in which thought rises and falls, that in which feeling appears and disappears, that which knows the dream and that which knows the waking world, that which we are acknowledging as our common experience, that we have the knowledge I am. The space that those words point to, these words I am point to, this self-aware, luminous being, is the knowing of peace and happiness that the seeming separate seeker seeks to find with every last effort. And we're not talking about peace and happiness as emotionally fluid states. We are talking about infinite knowing, stillness, knowing, infinite knowing stillness. Stillness rests in itself. As attention here sinks into itself. And we abide, we stay with, I am. And as we do notice, there's an energetic sense of being, In this approach, we might say there is an apparent something appearing as or out of nothing. We're not saying nothing is happening, we're saying something is being experienced or something is experiencing. And as far out as we might articulate the experience of this is to say, I am. And even then, that's a long way out from the direct experience of I am or amness or self-aware, luminous beingness. This that we have always been. This that, try this if you like now, that we couldn't not be. Try and go and leave the knowing of I am, the knowledge of I am. Once more, without path, procession, practice, process, performance, or preference. No distance to travel, the direct path. We find the ever-ready, ever-present, never absent knowing that I am. And this I am was the I am that rode that bike when we were 4. The same I am that went to school the first day. The same I am that left school the last day. The same I am that went to work for the first time. The same I am whose heart appeared to be broken. The same I am that logged in to hear I am. And the same I am that, without reference to language, otherness, other people, without reference to any sense of being a separate person, laid on a blanket as a newborn infant, and without even access to the words I am, knew only the experience I am. And this has never left us, has never changed, has never been harmed by the events of our lives. It is still pristine, luminous presence. At last we finally see, as the teacher said, you having never left the house, by every activity we've been looking for the way home. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.